Good afternoon from SeaWorld Orlando on a very windy and chilly day. We're here for a media preview or media hard hat tour of the Icebreaker construction site. Super excited. You guys know I love hard hat tours and I love roller coasters, so this is like my favorite thing to do, is go out and see what's happening at the construction site, get a close-up look at the roller coaster, kind of see how it works and what's going to be happening with it. I'm excited. Today is an exciting day, so let's go down and have a look, and we'll get a up-close look at the Icebreaker roller coaster construction here at SeaWorld Orlando. All right, we're inside and we're walking past all of the hard hats. I gotta get a hard hat and a vest. So the area that we are staging to go back there is like the day camp area. So SeaWorld runs day camps, or if you're coming here for a field trip, you might have your lunch in some of these pavilions, but you can see Icebreaker through the trees here. I'm gonna get a much closer look, but I wanted to give you guys a little quick preview of it. We are walking back to get a closer look at Icebreaker. Oh yeah, they're definitely doing a lot of work over here. Digging holes for footers, I'm assuming. It's pretty interesting how it just kind of like ends right there. Also, how far out it's gonna go. This will be good, because look at this. This is the path that runs behind Bayside Stadium. That track is real close to guest travel. That'd be very nice to see. A lot of kinetics, and also the two tracks are pretty darn close together. We are now behind the scenes on an active construction site. Okay, so we're headed up to the load platform over there. So we're in the load station. There's the spike right there where you launch backwards into it. So right here is where the train comes in. So I'm actually standing right where you'd load onto the train, and it would push out onto the transfer track. And this is what they're calling a high-speed transfer track. And so this track's not lined up with the track currently, but the track's underneath me here, and the train would push out onto that, and then it'll transfer over to that area right there, and then it launches backwards. So you launch over this little airtime hill, and then you launch up this greater than vertical spike. So this spike is 100 degrees, so past 90, and you go up it. And then you go back forward. And you go up and over top of that little airtime hill right there. And then you hit that little vertical, and then you come back. And you launch back up the spike. And then you go back forward. After you do the last launch forward, you go up and over this top hat, and then go through some low to the ground elements, kind of weaving back and forth with a lot of airtime hills and close calls, head chopper moments as they call them. We're going to get a little bit closer view of some of these things in just a few minutes here. This should be really good. And then once you come back down, you end up back here at the station. So when you unload from the train, you step off right here and you go down the exit ramp. And when you're going down the exit ramp, you're going to be very close to the next train launching back up the spike right there, within inches of the exit platform. Very similar setup to, say, Tigris, where you kind of end up in the same place that you started, but because it's not connected, that means that you can have two trains on, so it'll have a faster load unload than Tigris had. The line actually kind of reclaims some of the old seating area behind. This is Mango Joe's. Somewhere around here is Mango. Oh yeah, it's right there. Mango Joe's, which is a restaurant sort of in the wild Arctic area of the park. None of the controls are in the control booth yet, but here's a little look inside where the ride operators will be sitting, making sure that everything is safe for you to go on Icebreaker. Now we're actually out on the ground in the construction site, and you can kind of see this is going to be the pathway that used to run through here. There's a smoking section kind of right there, and then this is the spike right there. People will be able to walk right underneath it as it's launching up the spike. And from what I can tell, this right here will be the main entrance where the marquee will be saying this is Icebreaker. And you walk in and go through the line all through here, get on the train there, launch backwards up the spike, and continue out throughout the rest of the ride. And I'm willing to bet that these are going to be the lockers right here, so that you can take everything out of your pockets. And this probably will be the spot where you rent the lockers right here, like the kiosk to rent the locker. So everybody's doing kind of interviews over here, and they just said that the rider height requirement is 48 inches, and so this is sort of just above a family coaster, or maybe a family coaster, because there's no inversions, a little pretty low ride height requirement. So they're saying maybe, you start out at Grover's, Boxcar Racers, and then you go to Journey to Atlantis, and then this would be the next step up in between this and then maybe Kraken or Mako or something like that. He also said that the construction site was so tight that they had to start over here, put in footers here, and then start working their way through. Whereas on normal ride constructions, you would do all of the footers and then you'd bring in all the track. But like we showed you earlier, a lot of the track is in, but there is a section of track that just kind of ends. Now we have found out that the ride is going to be about 1.5 minutes, so a quick roller coaster from launch to station. So really, really fast throughput. We found out that this is the highest point on the coaster at 93 feet. So the final launch will launch you up to 52 miles an hour over top of this top hat. That's the 4th launch. So like once again, you launch backwards, up the spike, and then forwards, sort of up the top hat, and then you launch backwards again, back up the spike, and then one last launch forward, 52 miles an hour over top of the top hat, and then continuing the rest of the way around the track, finally ending up back here at the station for unload. Now we're underneath the top hat, and we found out that there's going to be 18 people per train, 2 trains on the track at a time. And the ride duration's about 1.30 minutes, so we can kind of figure out our throughput per hour.
Top hat element itself, 80 feet tall. It's gonna be
80 feet tall. We came directly underneath the top hat right here, so you guys can see this head chopper moment and how tight the track is as you're going around. Very close, and you can kind of see where they're still working on it back there, and also how low to the ground some of these elements are. Look at that. Very close to the ground. This is the closest that we will get.
quite a few of them supporting this in columns every 10 feet. So it's a very...
Look at them bolts. It's a high G-force section of track right here. The top hat right there, drop down, nearly vertical drop, down, and then a little bunny hop right there. The track is not finished right there, but it's going to continue back around and have a loop back. So you can head back in this direction towards the station. Such an interesting view, standing this low to the ground or being inside of this area. I'll never be able to be inside of here ever again, because this is within the unsafe area if a roller coaster was running right now. Wow. We are all done with our hard hat tour of Icebreaker. Now I'm just kind of in SeaWorld walking around. I'm going to have some more looks at Icebreaker from around the park, see if there's anything else new around the park, and then we'll head home. So when we were down inside of the construction zone, when I was looking at the pathway, and I was like, this is that pathway that used to be here and leads to a smoking area. This is where the pathway goes. It'll go underneath the track right there. And another thing that we can notice here is that it says 2020. We do know that it will be spring of 2020, so that's good. Very soon. One of the things that they told us is that Icebreaker is going to be part of a full refurbishment of the Wild Arctic or Antarctica area. And this is also Mango Joe's, which I was saying the entrance is right behind, and the queue takes up some of the old seating area of Mango Joe's. They have like pizza and hamburgers and stuff like that. And this over here is the Antarctica area, where Wild Arctic is, and they say that this is going to lead to a refurbishment of this whole area. So it looks like they still have some of the Sea of Trees up, but I think they are currently working to take them down. We can see somebody working on one right here. We're currently on the bridge that runs right through the center of the park, and I think this will be an interesting perspective to watch the ride. Not so much right now because the sun is kind of like making it hard to see anything, but you can see the majority of the ride from here. I think that'll make it a very interesting way to watch, or a very interesting spot to watch Icebreaker from. So from this perspective on the bridge, we can actually see all of SeaWorld's bigger roller coasters. So we've got Manta over there, and then as we turn, we've got Kraken, then we turn a little bit more, we've got Mako, and then back behind us here is the newest addition, Icebreaker. And then like I said earlier, we also have Grover's Boxcar Racer back there, and then Journey to Atlantis over in this area over here is not exactly a roller coaster, it's like a flume ride. And then Infinity Falls would be back over here. So that's a bunch of, it's like kind of we're rounding out, getting a lot of really good thrill rides here at SeaWorld Orlando. Speaking of Infinity Falls, I kind of want to go see if it's running right now. It's 53 degrees here, freezing cold with the wind chill. But I want to see if anybody's brave enough to ride it in this temperature. Walking up to Infinity Falls, doesn't sound like it's running at the moment. I don't think anybody's going to be riding it today. A little bit too cold. Oh yeah, there's a sign. Infinity Falls is closed today. Oh, it's pretty interesting to see when it's not running at full blast, because it's like, this would normally be all kinds of like ridiculous rapids. Now it looks like a calm boat ride, like Living with the Land or something like that. Look at this side over here too. This side is the craziest section. It looks so calm and peaceful. You can almost see up on the walls here how high up the water comes through this area compared to what it's like right now. Nice and calm. It's real. This is like my new favorite thing, is seeing rapids rides without the rapids turned on. Amazing. I love this. The other thing that I always thought was interesting is that they use just like wooden 4x4s to create the rapids. So the boat would come from this direction. These pieces of wood make rapids in the water right here. You can see there's another one up there too. I guess they use the wood so that they can replace it easily. I'd like to know the science. So this is the big drop here at the very end of the ride. It's a very interesting drop because it uses an elevator on the backside to raise the boat up to this level, and then it goes down this drop. But why do they have these little Teflon pads down here? They seem like they're kind of deep underwater to have for them to be something that kind of the boat skids on. So I'm wondering, why are they there and what do they do? There's a sign here talking about the Inside Look event. They got some special presentations on the 11th and 18th with wildlife rescue and research. And then they also have the 25th and 26th. Jack Hanna's going to be here. It's kind of awesome here at SeaWorld right now. There's hardly anybody in the park. This says that it's a 10-minute wait for Mako, but I think they're just not running as many trains right now, because this is the first train I've seen go by as I was standing here, and they should be running a lot more often than that. Oh yeah, there's empty seats on that train. No reason for it to be a 10-minute wait. One of the things that I want to do one day is come back out here and go to Sharks, because this is a very highly rated restaurant and it's inside of a theme park. Plus, the menu looks pretty darn good. I don't eat fish, but they do have a Kobe burger. Ooh, and some filet. Chicken mushroom, sounds good too. Blue chips, ooh. I want to eat that right now. That sounds so delicious. I always thought this was a pretty good deal. For $40, you can eat and drink all day as often as every hour. So once an hour, you can come in and get an entree, a drink, and a dessert or a side. I could easily go through $40 worth of food in a full day here at SeaWorld. You know, doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Easy. Here's something that I always thought was really interesting about SeaWorld is they have a autism-friendly quiet room. So if somebody in your family is on the spectrum and they become overwhelmed, they can come here and get into a nice quiet space and calm down. And then when they're ready to come back out, they can go back out to the park. Another thing that they have here is they have what can you ride? And it tells you what everything is that you can ride depending on your height level. What can Coral? We can ride any ride except Manta, Kraken, and Mako. So that's good to know because that's 48 inches and Icebreaker is 48 inches. So maybe if your kids can't ride Manta, Kraken, or Mako, they can ride Icebreaker. And then they have a little thing here where your kid can come underneath and this raises and lowers so you can see if they're tall enough to ride any of these rides. So they got it divided into different categories. Puck, anybody less than 42 inches. Shivers, 42 inches and above. Coral, 48 inches and above. And Sydney, 54 and above. Oh, if you're over 14, you can be a supervising companion. So if you have kids that are over 14 years old, they can take a younger sibling that is 54 inches or taller onto a ride without parents. So there you have it. That was our trip out to SeaWorld Orlando to get a hard hat tour of the Icebreaker construction. I am very excited for that roller coaster. It looks like it's going to be very fun. Looks like it'll be fun for the whole family. No inversion, so an easy to ride roller coaster. Seems like it'll be nice and smooth. So I believe Icebreaker will be very similar to Tigris out in Busch Gardens because it is the same ride manufacturer and it's a launched coaster and you launch forward and backwards and backwards and forwards and all those type of things. There is no inversions in Icebreaker, however there are in Tigris, but I really do like Tigris. A lot of fun and very re-rideable. I think this one will be the same way. I think Tigris might be a little bit faster than this one. Maybe. So, I don't know. All in all, I am very excited for all of the new roller coasters coming all over the place. We've got Tigris is brand new out of Busch Gardens. Iron Gwazi is coming out of Busch Gardens. We've got this one, Icebreaker, here. It's a good year for roller coasters. Can't wait to get back out to Busch Gardens, ride Tigris again, and see Iron Gwazi construction, because they're moving right along with that one as well. Icebreaker is coming spring 2020, so very, very soon. You could see when we were on the construction site, not much more to do. Finish the track, do a little bit of concrete work, and then do landscaping. They're ready to open. Gotta do some testing, of course. But after that, they're ready to open. I don't know, I'm excited. Very excited for this roller coaster. So, with that being said, we are off, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. And now it's time to pay the price.